Holy moly. I want to see right back at you times 10. The reason that we are where we are, growing from 1,000 clients to 8,000, there's a lot of people doing a lot of work, but it's our true north right here. I feel privileged to be working with you and to be your friend. And as you know, as I've told you, you are one of my heroes. So thank you. So I'm here to talk about 3 things. 1 is my own mental health journey, 2 is Jocelyn, and 3 is EMDR treatment. I want to start talking about my mental health journey because although we know we've come a long way in understanding it, I think we have a long way to go. I think there's a lot of shame around it still, a lot of misunderstanding. So I'm hoping by talking about my journey that will maybe help someone else understand it or help somebody else with it. My diagnoses are major treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, and ADHD. Q's son over there is taping. Mental illness is hard for everybody to understand, even those of us who experience it, because it's kind of invisible a lot of times, because it comes and goes, and it's just this amorphous thing that's hard to get hold of. And also the manifestations are not very attractive. So Kay Redfield Jamison, who some of you might know, who wrote a book called Brain on Fire, she says, you know, when you're mentally ill, you're irritable, you're anxious, you're humorless, you're flat, you're critical, you're angry, you're confused and unproductive. So take all those things together, it's not very attractive for yourself, so you feel bad, or for your caregivers. So it becomes very isolating, really. So you're kind of on your own a lot. Even though I have incredible husbands, son, friends, a lot of friends here, excuse me, you feel alone. In fact, Andrew Solomon, who wrote one of the best books about depression, called Darkness Visibles, William Styron, called New Day Demon, he said the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's vitality. And when I was reading this speech to my husband, he said, can you repeat that, please? Can you tell everybody that's it? Because he has seen me in my regular life. I can be pretty vital, right? I'm out there and I'm living my life, and when I'm sick, there's nothing. So, you know, he just said, I don't think people understand that, like how much it just saps everything from you. And he and Charlie and my other children have witnessed with that like firsthand. So I have a little pet peeve, I have to say. Why is this illness called depression? Because everyone's been depressed. Everyone's had a bad day, had a breakup. So when you tell people you have depression, I've had every comment from, but you have everything. Why are you depressed? Or, did you try taking a walk? Or look at the bright side. Or, you know, people don't, you know, and it's not mean, it's a lack of understanding, because it's the same word, right? And what they don't understand is the disease of depression is biological. There's something going on with your neurotransmitters, and you can't control it any more than you can control diabetes, right? It's the way you're born. So everybody, in my next life, if you happen to be there, stay tuned, because I'm going to rename this thing, okay? So people can get it.
Maybe in this life.
Maybe in this life. So anyway, sometimes I'm great. Like right now, I have good meds, I have great help, and I'm living life, and I love life, as you guys know. I'm a life liver. Sometimes I'm okay, like all of us. Sometimes I'm not okay, and I can fake it pretty well. And then when the wheels come off, I can't fake it anymore. So it goes through the gamut. Robin Williams' quote was, people don't fake depression, they fake being well. For me, this has been lifelong, ever since I can remember. Like dread and confusion were kind of how I woke up every day. And I just thought maybe everybody's doing that. And my parents used to come in my room and say, well, you must like to cry in the closet because you're there all the time crying, so I guess we'll let you do that. And this is no slight on my parents, because nobody got it. I didn't know why I was crying in the closet. And I thought, well, maybe I don't like it, but I don't know why I'm doing it. And all my reports from all my school years were that she's lazy, she doesn't try up to her potential. And I'm thinking, I am pedaling these feet as fast as I can. I don't know what direction to go. And I just couldn't figure it out. I just couldn't figure out how to make it work. And I couldn't find the path to rational thought, if that makes sense. I was just scrambling around all the time. And so I tried to fix it. So I tried harder. I can't be weak. I have to try. And I didn't feel good about myself, but trying harder didn't work because I had a disease. My sister once said to me, who watched a lot of this happen, I think most people's biggest fear is dying, but I think your biggest fear is going over the edge to madness and never coming back. And she was absolutely correct. When you're this ill, it's a scary thing to think, what if I can't get back? I didn't look for professional help until I was at Kellogg Business School, and I had a severe depressive episode. And I guess these happen every, 3 or 4 years, the bad ones. So I had lost 30 pounds, I wasn't going to school, I couldn't get out of bed, and my best friend from college, Nancy, finally said, look, something is wrong here. So I was lucky to find a wonderful therapist named Alice. She found me a psychiatrist. She helped me greatly, and I don't think I'd be married to my husband today if she didn't help me. The key is, though, Alice and the psychiatrist were private pay. I didn't have to record it anywhere. I didn't have to tell anyone, because I was convinced if anyone knew what I was doing, I would never get a job. That's what I believed, and this is in the late 80s. But, lucky me, I could pay for it. I could do it. So since then, I've tried a few things. Tried talk therapy, DBT, CBT. I went to a residential stay for 2 months in Houston. As recently as 2 years ago, I had electric shock therapy down at Rush because I was in a seriously bad spot. I've tried hypnosis, ketamine treatment, transcranial stimulation, and experimental treatment down at Stanford. I've done psychedelic treatment many times, both psilocybin and MDMA, which has actually been very helpful. I do it under supervision of someone who's been trained. Acupuncture, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, and the latest thing, EMDR. And that's been in the last 8 months, and I'm going to circle back to that in a minute. As Susan said, I'm going to switch over to Jocelyn. I met Susan 8 years ago, and my friend Joe, who's here with me tonight, she and I had sons that were struggling pretty early on in their lives with mental health illness, so we started talking about it, and then we talked to another friend and another friend, just like those old shampoo commercials. And, you told two friends, you told two friends, and of course we start going around, and there's a lot of it going around, and everybody was dealing with it on their own. So I think a combination of Joe and I, she and I have talked about this. She's uber organized. Uber, I'm not, but I'm kind of doing this stuff underneath, connecting people and doing this. So our combination, we end up having, I think, 200 moms in an email group, and we had all kinds of lists, and like, these are therapists, these are lawyers, these are residential schools, and I think we did help a lot of people. I think we did a lot of good things. But Susan, here's Susan again. Susan had just started at Jocelyn, as we said, and it was falling. When I first joined the board, I thought, how are they going to make it? And she heard about Joe and I, and she reached out to us, and she said, I heard you're doing stuff. I want to make our adolescent programming better. And so she had coffee with us, and she listened to us. And then we got to know each other, and she asked me to be on the board. But that is what she does. She did it then, she's doing it now. We just had a 2-hour strategic planning meeting on this new kind of clinic in Illinois. I don't know how she does everything she's doing, but the reason we are here is because she's always trying to make it better and help more people. I was attracted to it because, as I said, that long list of things I had to do, hardly any of it's covered by insurance. And I am blessed that I could afford it. So Jocelyn, you can come if you can pay or not. And I thought, this is perfect, because now maybe I can help in some way. Some people got the help that I get that can't afford it. So for me, I was very thrilled to be a part of it. My experience with EMDR started because every board meeting starts with a clinician speaking about whatever they do. So one day we had John come, and I'd heard of EMDR, but he was talking about it, and I got intrigued. 1, because I was intrigued. 2, because he's John, who's now my therapist. Thank you, God. He's wonderful. And what he said was interesting. And if any of you have heard of EMDR, immediately you think PTSD, right? So it's called a big T trauma. It's most known for helping people, vets, and things like that, and most research for big T trauma. So I'm thinking this isn't for me because I have not experienced that. And he talked about how it was very effective for little T traumas, which we've all experienced. Loss, grief, family trouble, self-esteem. I mean, any kind of trouble, car accidents, you name it. But those are little T traumas. And he said, no, they're just as effective as that. And I've done research since then, and that's the truth. I thought, because depression itself is a little T trauma, sometimes big T, but mostly little T trauma. So I thought I was not in a good space when he was speaking. So I went to Susan. I said, can I be a patient here when I'm on the board? Do I have to quit the board? She goes, no, you can do it. And I said, okay, is that weird? And she's like, no, it's okay. So, I went to John and I go, is it weird that I'm a board member? He goes, no, that's okay. I said, okay. So I started therapy, and I'm going to get into what it is in a second. I cannot tell you how helpful it is. And I don't quite understand it still. I'm going to tell you how it works. But what it does, it takes the sting out of your traumatic experience. It's still there, but you don't feel, when it's happening to you. It kind of evens it out and makes sense of it. So that's general. So what is it? There's a guy named Bezel van der Kolk, and I never heard of him, but I had heard his book, The Body Keeps the Score. Now, anybody who knows about trauma, that's the Bible, okay? He said when he first heard about it, EMDR is a bizarre and wondrous treatment, and anybody who first hears about it, myself included, thinks this is pretty hokey and strange. It's something invented by Francine Shapiro, who found that if you move your eyes from side to side as you think about distressing memories, the memories lose their power. That's the gist of it. It is defined as, Susan already said it, so I'm not, because I can't see desensitized, blah, 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 is psychotherapy that enables people to heal from the symptoms and emotional distress that are the result of disturbing life experiences. Since it was discovered in the 80s, it has been, Susan said, it's been approved by every body you can think of, WHO, NIH, because there's been so much research done on it. And it's based on the theory that your brain processes traumatic and non-traumatic experiences differently, which I did not know until I started looking into this. So trauma is like a wound that your brain hasn't been allowed to heal. And because it didn't heal, it didn't receive the message that the danger's over. So we've all either known someone, seen a movie, read a book, where someone who has trauma, they walk by and see something, or they smell something, and it comes right back, right? It's like they're living it all over again. And they live it again and again and again. So this breaks that cycle, okay? So it just breaks the loop so the brain knows, oh, this trauma is over. It's not actually happening now. And the mechanism is called bilateral stimulation. And somehow it helps your two hemispheres of the brain, I'm not a scientist, work together to heal this. The most common thing is eye movement therapy. Now get this is what you do. You sit in the therapist's office, he has you think of something, he sits there, you sit here, and he moves his hands like this, and you follow his hands. Then you breathe in, breathe out. That's it. Now, how that works, I don't know. I also have a very skilled therapist. I had my session this morning, and I told John today, after our session, which was unbelievable, I said, "You are a witch." And he goes, what? And I said, "I have had a lot of therapy. You are the best therapist I have ever had. This is incredible. I don't know how you do it, but this bilateral thing is so important. You can either do the eye movement. It has to be on both sides of your body. You can tap. Some people do tapping. Some people have little buzzers in their hands, and some people do it through headphones. But incredibly, shifts happen right there in the office. And the beautiful thing is there's no side effects. All those of us who have tried meds, right? It's a very low barrier to entry, and it works much more quickly than standard talk therapy. My friend Dory, who is here tonight, lovely Dory over here, we've talked about this, and she talked about her experience with residual pain that she couldn't shake after being in talk therapy for a year. And she was in search to heal herself from family stuff, feeling unloved. There was physical and verbal abuse in her household, and it stuck with her, and it affected her relationships. She had been doing talk therapy for years. She did 5 sessions until she said, "I had a breakthrough." She said before she had a feeling of being less than that permeated her relationships. And she said, she's a beautiful person, this is how she said it. "Now I have an intrinsic belovedness that I did not have before." So that's a pretty beautiful thing. So anyway, I got all excited about it. Anyway, I got all excited about this. So I went to Michael Scholl, who's our clinical director, and I said, "Michael, this is great. What are we doing?" He said, "Well, we have 20 people trained in this. We have 40 in line to get trained." And I said, "All right." And then Ruth Krause, who is a board member and a psychologist, comes over and starts talking to us. She goes, "Janice, no one can find this. There's nobody doing, 0 people doing it for Medicaid patients. But it's even hard for private pay." So I said, "Well, we got to do something." And he said, "I got 40 people here want to get trained." I said, "What do you need?" He said, "I need $50,000. I said, "I can do that. I can do that thing. I think I can do that." I like little finite projects. So I went to my family, and I wanted them to start off the 50K, and my generous father said, "I'm 92, you got it." So, right. He has no idea of EMDR, but he said, "You like it, you believe in it, you got it." So I wasn't expecting that, so that was incredibly generous. So we have 12 people right now in the program because of that. I got a letter from each one of them today saying how much it's affected them. And so guess what? I want to raise 50K more. So to keep training people. And And we have a little task force, and we want to do a center of excellence for EMDR that Jocelyn's going to have, and we're going to have it for our clients and people who can refer it, and we're very excited. So if this is inspiring to you, the paddle raise today will be for our general operating, which is great too. But there's also, when you leave, there's going to be a little QR code on a card. If you like the EMDR idea, you can also do it on our website. We also have Michael Scholl here. Where's Michael? There's Michael right there. And 2 other therapists here who are trained in this, if you guys have any questions about this. And I think I've taken enough of your time, but I want to thank you guys all for listening and for sharing.